Hello, and welcome to Moonride. This is Dave Johnson. I'm channeling the man in the moon today. So I know there's a lot to cover here, a lot to sort of piece through. I didn't use the word worry about because the best thing that you can do is try to get out of the worry mode. I'm not saying that it's not real, but we've got to do all we can to be very functioning and present. Do yourself a favor and lower the amount of information you take in. It's just a certain circle happens where you just get stressed and stressed and stressed. I'm not going to say that I'm super good at this, but I am better at it. Do your best here. So I don't know what we're going to cover here. I'm just going to ask Spirit to show up and see what it's about. All right. So, okay. Now, this character, whose name is Katrina, has shown me something that does make me feel really good. And I've asked for more than one image. Okay. So you can call me Katrina. This is a message from Spirit. That is, we exist very far away from your planet. You might call us angels, you might call us aliens. It is of no consequence to us. These are just names. We want to explain something that seems to be very pertinent to the human race right now. The social situation that you find yourself in is an intensification of the system. That is, it could have been that there was a slow and tepid change. There was a rather back and forth for some time between one way of thinking and another way of thinking, and there could have been a long and rather unfortunate battle where not much would be accomplished in terms of getting towards light. Instead, what has happened is that a rather dramatic, let us call it a problem, has shown up, and the dramatic problem is intensified. That is, over the next 9 months or so, you will see extreme examples of sort of what is wrong with the what you might call the old earth. The old earth is passing, and as it passing, it is rather clinging. It is sort of like one who is drowning and grabs for anything that it can get hold of. It has successfully got a hold of the edge of the boat, and it is tipping that boat over and throwing everyone into the water. You are those who are thrown into the water, and you are worried. You are worried that you will not get back into the boat. You are worried that you will not know how to swim. You are just worried. And we want you to know that you will be able to survive this. You must learn how to swim. This is a metaphor. We don't really care if you learn to swim in the water, although it certainly is a nice thing to do. But it is a metaphor. Think of this as, what can we do now? How can I be rather sort of adaptable person? This doesn't mean you justify the situation, or we say that this situation is good or it is beneficial, or those who are doing it aren't cruel or insensitive. We are saying that through this situation, you will become much more dynamic because you have no choice. And as we say this, we don't want you to think that this is some kind of punishment. This is a benefit. It is a benefit to all of you in the sense that it is activating you. You will know, for example, who your true friends are. You will know who you can rely on. You'll know when you need to be independent. You may swim to a new shore where there are new people and new ways of thinking and being that are less materialistic than the old world has presented with. It is important for you to understand this, because now that you are in the middle of the water without a life raft, you are very, very nervous, and you are causing yourself more damage. You're floundering in the water instead of swimming to the new shore. We ask that you find the new shore, that you see the light at the end. There is no way for you to understand the shore perfectly, but set it up as a sort of goal. Set up an awareness of the self. What is bothering you? What upsets you more? What causes you to go into the space of, well, maybe we would say no success or desperation, sadness? What causes you to go there? Understand that part of this is external, and that's valid, but part of it is internal. And we are not saying you shouldn't go there. You should go there. You should be experiencing what you are experiencing. But awareness of what you're experiencing will really benefit you. For example, you are scared. You are scared that you will lose your benefits from your society. This is a legitimate fear, and we will not downplay it. But let us look at the fear. Let us see, what's the first time that you felt afraid this way? And when you felt afraid this way the first time, what was your reaction? Perhaps you're stepping into the same river again, and a small fear is becoming bigger than it is, or a medium fear is becoming bigger than it is. As you look at the fear and you look at your reaction, you can also say, well, I have overcome this fear before. The first day of school was difficult, but I managed to get through it. Perhaps high school was difficult, but you managed to get through it. You're here now, aren't you? So you must have accomplished something. You must have overcome the fear that happens when you cross the threshold of your front door. For there is much to fear outside what is not known. But you have already accomplished this. You have already done these. Even if you're rather homebound, you are engaging with your life. You have met people. You have made friends. You have worked a job that was difficult. All of you have pushed through the fear. So do not spend too much time worrying about the fear, or too much time analyzing the source of the fear, or too much time remembering where that fear came from the first time. Spend some of the time saying, wow, look how I overcame this. It is not a bad idea to write it down. Fear, recognition of fear, overcoming of the fear. And you can start at your youngest age. You can start with 3 years old when you were afraid of the dark, and see how you overcame it. And this will remind you that you can overcome anything. You will survive this period of time. It will be unpleasant, perhaps. There will be many different kinds of feelings, many of which are unpleasant. But you will overcome them. You have already overcome them, for you are still here. You are still alive. We also want you to know that it will not last. This period of time is an accelerated period of time. It is accelerated for a reason. It might be said that humans are experiencing shadow. They are experiencing a lack of light in an extreme sense, so that they can see what shadow, what darkness, what unpleasantness and cruelty looks like in a real sense. It is going to affect many people who did not believe that they would be affected by it. And that was the necessary, let us call it a plan, for it is something like a plan. It is necessary that everyone experiences the intensity of the shadows at this point, so that they can be in relation to it. Maybe they will reject the choices that they've made before. Maybe they will be persuaded that the choices that they made before were based on things they did not really understand. Maybe they will become more humanitarian and say, well, I'm not going to commit that act of wrong. It is too much for my soul to bear. I cannot go that far. And I will tell my leadership that this is too far. Perhaps they will say, well, for myself personally, this is not really the benefit that I thought it would be, and in order to be pragmatic, I will stop these people from doing what they are doing. Perhaps it will get worse and worse for certain sets of people who once supported the shadowy government. Perhaps it will become so bad for them that they simply cannot take it anymore, and they will react in the same way that they have reacted to the other party. And this is not to be surprised. That is, do not be surprised if this is exactly what happens. For you might look at the reaction to the present government that you have in the United States and to some governments around the world, and you will see that they are not particularly successful. The momentum is not there. They are working against the common good, and they are being seen to be working against the common good. It will come out over time how selfish these plans were, how they really only benefited a very small percentage of people. The secrets will eventually be revealed because more and more people will become upset. They will become frustrated. Some of them will be within the power structure themselves. That is, they will have joined the power structure, believing in it, thinking that it will do better for people. But as they are there and someone passes away whom they love because the cancer research was stopped, or they are no longer employed at the university where they're employed because they have been demoted or sort of left out in the cold in terms of their work. Perhaps that person even has children to feed. When this happens, there will be those who are in the power structure still, who will be upset about how it has evolved. They will have a change of heart. It will become so obvious to them that within that structure, they will reveal certain secrets. And as those secrets are revealed, people will begin to change their minds in a radical direction. Imagine if the cost of food were to increase 5%, 10%, 20%. We are not saying that this is exactly what it will happen, but consider, if this happens, what will be the reaction of the average person? It is as if you try a new leader, and as you try the new leader, you immediately realize that they are not a good leader, that the things that they said did not come true. And it becomes such a crisis. At a certain point, it must be changed. Just for your survival, you must change it. We are not speaking about those who are already there. We're speaking about those who were perhaps in the middle, perhaps a little less interested in the socio-political situation that they're in, and they are changing their mind because they must, because they cannot afford the groceries to put on their table. And this was what was promised, a reduction in cost, and instead there is an increase. There is a good deal going on within the government that you do not know. That is, even those who you call conservative are having regrets. They are worried. And they are worried that the mistakes that are made are going to be pinned on them because they were part of the process of creation of these problems. So it is not necessarily an ethical responsibility they feel. It is a practical responsibility. I might lose my job if I say in alignment with this particular way. We say this to alleviate your fears, to know that there is a purpose in what is going on right now. Sometimes it is necessary for all the poisons to be hatched out so that they can be addressed. It might be said that if things had gone differently, those poisons would have been there, just a little less discoverable. Now they are spread right on top for everyone to see, and this will become more and more obvious over time. There will be, as has been said, many small crises. We would suggest that there are small and perhaps some medium-sized crises. Again, we say this to calm your nerves, to let you know that this is not the end of the world. This is a birthing of a new world, and it is unpleasant. But the most important thing that you can do now is observe this with truth. Do your best not to take it personally. Do your best to understand your own reaction so that you can manage and control it. There are some things that you cannot control, these external events. But the understanding and awareness that comes with the self is something that you can choose right now, and something you are being compelled to choose. We do not say this to say that we lack compassion or understanding. We understand your emotions. They are real, they are natural, and they are deserved. But if you can work together with your emotions to make a change in yourself, you will succeed in changing the planet, in changing your society, in changing even the light. We wish to encourage you to use what is not positive and to change it to positive. It is magic, a sort of alchemy that every one of you can create something new. You can create something good out of what is bad. This is not to chastise you. This is just to let you know you have more power than you think. But it has a good deal to do with your own emotions, which you have to acknowledge. Do not dismiss them as some spiritual practices would have you do. It is natural to feel in the way that you are feeling now. Just make yourself aware of it and remind yourself that using that feeling towards understanding is going to be helpful. And not only is it going to be helpful, it is going to change you to be aware of those feelings, and you can to encourage the self. Look back at the times when you've had those feelings and you've used them to evolve and change. Look at the times when you've gone into the fear and come out amazingly successful, or somewhat successful. We send this message with love. And on this note, we will end this transmission. Thanks so much for watching.